Intern and J. Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Jesus Christ.
Who needs AI when we have Tyler?
Yeah, right? I don't think computers...
Everybody should just have their own Tyler.
He just kind of got his look. He went from a laughing look to a concerned look.
He's in work mode.
The only thing different is that the computer can't set the microphones for us yet.
Well, and the computer also can't come up. Well, I probably could come up with good excuses for being late for work.
Probably
right?
better than
Are you
better
using
than
ChatGPT on these excuses every day for being late,
he just
Tyler?
comes for the same thing. I don't know what happened. That's literally the same excuse. Yeah, that one.
This one was planned.
But you know the DMV does open at 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
Do they really?
Yeah. He could have been there at 8:30.
Oh, Tyler said 8:30. Nice.
Getting ready at 8:30. Still made here on time. Either way, 104.7 The Cave. I'm Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens. This is Dark Side of the Stream episode 223.
We watch documentaries, so you don't have to.
That's what we do at the end. But yes, he is right. It is episode 223 this week. We watched my pick. It's called Devil in the Family. The Fall
Mike
of
paid me
Ruby
back
Franke.
for some child abuse.
Yeah, I thought had agreed a
We
long
weren't going
time
to do
ago.
these
We
no
don't have
more,
kids.
and we keep doing it.
And then Jay was like, "Hey, we should watch this one," which was the brothers one, and I was like, "I'm going to get you back for that, bud." And
Yeah,
that's
you did.
exactly what I
You
did.
did, yeah.
This tells a story of a woman who had a very, very popular YouTube channel called 8 Passengers. And before we get into that, I want to talk about what I believe social media and all of these forums and YouTube and stuff has really done to society and people as a whole. And what I mean by that is, when you put on Facebook or whatever and you see a couple that and they're like,
Dude.
"Oh, we're so happy, we love each other,
And
look
you're
at
like,
us."
"No, you ain't."
And then you're like, "Man, I saw you guys at the bar screaming at each other."
Homie was talking to me about cheating on you the other day.
Do tell.
No, this is in general.
But that's what I'm getting at.
You guys.
Is social media has been kind of this thing it was originally intended of like, oh yeah, I can get a hold of this dude that I knew in high school, we haven't touched each other in a while, or this group of friends I hung out with, or whatever the case may be, into this thing where it's now like a status symbol of you. Like, this is what my family does. These are all the fun
and
trips
like they
we've
say
got.
too,
Look at my hot girlfriend.
people are putting the highlights up there. Like, so you're going, "Oh man, this family's so perfect," and you feel like crap. But they're putting their best moments up there. They're not putting, "Hey, he didn't do the laundry all week."
Yeah, I'm sleeping on the couch still because she doesn't like the way I
we
snore,
don't.
or whatever
We're on the
it
verge
is.
of breaking up. They don't put that stuff mostly.
Again, and it's like this whole thing where years and years ago it was you see these models in magazines and then women would strive to be that, and a lot of the time
Same
it
kind of
wasn't
thing.
even realistic or actual accurate.
Yeah.
Then you get photo editing, and same thing happens, and social media compounds this too. Point being is another word of warning, which is, take everything you see with these people at face value or with a grain of salt, which means just because they're telling you something doesn't mean that it actually
That's what's going on behind the scenes. Right?
What reality is. This is a perfect example of how someone can show you something while behind the scenes.
Yeah, she seemed like the perfect mom.
The most insane and horrible piece of human dirt I could ever imagine. Some of the stuff she put her kids through in this, 30 years, which is probably the maximum that she's going to serve, is not enough. She should have had 30 lifetimes because those kids are screwed for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and her YouTube channel grew. She was making like $100,000 a month on this family YouTube channel, which is insane to me.
People make more, dude.
It's insane, man.
I mean,
that's good
I think
for
she
them,
had like 2.5 million subscribers at the height. And again, that ad revenue is literally, that's paying for everything.
It's insane.
So now the product becomes your breadwinner, your breadbasket. You got to do everything to keep that going. What that was in itself was just as crazy to me because she started showing her hand in some of these things.
Yes,
and people started being like, whoa, wait a minute. We'll talk about that next Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream, episode 223, Devil in the Family, the downfall of Ruby Franke. So back to the channel they had. It's called 8 Passengers on YouTube. And in these videos, she would, talk about what it's like to raise all these kids. In itself, it's a lot of work.
Challenging,
It's crazy.
And people enjoy watching it, I guess.
It's not like you didn't decide to have another children and another and another and another. But, some people can handle it, some people shouldn't. She is the shouldn't category. But what's interesting to me is that as this channel got popular, she started showing some of the disciplinary things she did. One of which, I'm going to send my teen to a wilderness thing for troubled teens, which is kind of like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. How bad was he? Is he stealing from people? Is he doing drugs?
Yeah,
is he
wasn't even really doing anything crazy.
We're not talking about like I'm escaping out of my house at 15 years old to go hang out with my girlfriend who's 2 years older than me, then party all night and sneak back in at 4 in the morning. Right. I did that.
Yeah.
My parents didn't send me to a wilderness camp.
That's just part of
which
being
is crazy.
a teen.
I mean, you're going to have to accept that. Also, like she was talking about decapitating one of their dolls, and then Santa wasn't coming this year because you don't deserve it.
Yeah, she started kind of losing her mind a little bit.
You could start to see the weight of what she was trying to convey kind of fall back into her family so that her unrealistic expectation of perfection is then dumped onto their kids.
And then you could see the kids were kind of not too down with it anymore, and the husband was never really down with it.
Well, they end up splitting up.
Well, that guy, too, he's got some massive issues, dude. That guy.
Well, but again, that's the other thing is, like, as a father, and I can't imagine what it would be like, but at a certain point, like, of course, you've got to discipline your kids, right? You try to do it together. You try to explain, like, why this isn't good behavior, why you shouldn't do it, correct it, and then if it keeps, you just, it's like training. You just got to work at it. But at a certain point, if I saw my wife like beating my kids or withholding food for them, tying them up with ropes or duct tape,
game over, man. Game over.
We're going to court, and I'm fighting for custody, and I'm getting a divorce. Man,
and I haven't seen my kids in a year. I don't. School.
And again, he wasn't an active father in their life, so it just turned into crap. And so ultimately,
very cult follower like too, because he's like, I still love her, even though after all this, dude,
bro,
that dude needs a smack right there.
But again, like. Your kids are everything.
Yeah.
Relationships, you want to make them work as well as you can, but again, your kids, they go above that.
Well, she went kind of crazy level, and then she met some cult lady, and they went together.
And
to
they
a
went even
level.
further because misery loves company, and these two definitely together were horrible. So we'll talk about what that happened and the end of this when we return next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike, the intern, Jay Stevens, back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 223. Devil in the Family on Hulu is what we're talking about today. So, as Jay mentioned, Ruby got with another woman who was
like a motivational speaker type girl,
counselor or something.
Yeah, life counselor.
He started this thing called Moms of Truth.
Bro, I know.
Honestly, hey, ladies, if you're thinking about starting a band, Moms of Truth. That would be a really good name for a band. But either way, offering parenting classes and how to get your kids to behave. Really, I think the end of the story...
Fixing your husbands.
Yeah.
Dude.
Good luck with that.
Bro.
The end of the story was really when she separated with that guy, brought this woman in, and then it just went into...
They
you were already at high
kids.
gear. That's when they hit the nitrous and went even further down the road.
And then the whole story, the title of this thing, Devil in the Family, they kind of touched on some weird, like... ghostly type stuff or devil type possession stuff. Who knows if that was so true, but it got crazy, man. These two women together was nuts.
And where the
torturing
father,
children, man.
The father should have stepped in.
No, he dipped out. I haven't seen my kids in years. That's
it was
cool.
the oldest sister, the oldest sibling, who kind of saw the writing on the wall.
She dipped out.
She was the one that really got the whole thing to tip, and then they got the police involved.
Well, that one little kid ran away too. The little dude got out of the cuffs
and they saw the marks on his hand. Where we're talking
props
about
that little kid for
kids.
escaping and running to the neighbor's house and going, "Can you help me? Could I have some food? And can you call the police?" Like. Whoa!
I don't even want to imagine.
I got goosebumps, dude. That kid showed up on my door.
I'd be returning the favor with 6 in my hand.
Yeah.
Easy. I just can't. you try to gain perspective, but when it comes to things like this, there is none to gain. It's just someone with a severe mental illness that should have never had kids, and now you're going to spend those children going to spend the rest of their lives in therapy.
But it's amazing
trying to make it.
The way she seems so perfect on YouTube for all those years, and just.
That's why I started this out the way it did.
Yep.
Take that stuff with a grain of salt. You're sitting there looking at these high school chicks that were mean to you, and they still have this perfect family. Chances are her husband's seeing somebody on the side. They're 2 steps away from a divorce, and she's on her own.
I would also say that to me, a red flag is if I see a Facebook profile and it's the couple together on one profile.
Oh yeah,
that, to me is a big red flag of insecurity, of jealousy, and controlling.
You can't trust that person to have their own social media.
We have one Facebook page together.
Always a red flag. Trust, obviously, a big part of making relationships work. But anyway, we're going to come back and talk about our reviews for this Dark Side of the Stream episode next on 104.7 The Cave. We call them simps.
And dudes that can't trust a chick either.
Simps. Cucks or simps?
Yeah.
Cucks will watch their girl get banged by some guy and be okay with it. Simps will just let them do whatever they want. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 223.
I wish we would have recorded that.
Maybe we do. Who knows? But that's a good definition, truth bomb for you.
It
is. It's just really up to our AI.
Tyler, are you going to put that on the air too? Is this all going on the air?
It's going to make the final cut. So ultimately, Ruby would be found guilty of child abuse, neglect.
Those cops.
She got multiple sentences of abuse, but the ultimate thing that sucks is all of those weighted can only go to 30. So she could have each counts 60 years or whatever, but ultimately it caps at 30. She'll probably be out in 15 or 20.
One interesting thing is when the cult leader got brought into the cause, we'll point out and highlight shoddy police work. I would say this was some good police work. That woman detective, she's like, she tried to mind mess me. She's like, I wasn't having it.
No.
yeah.
And
very good for that police
is a really
officer.
good example because that's one of the things I love about police is, and one thing I'm always striving to do better is how good they are at listening.
Yep.
And not just listening to what's being said, listening and watching cues and things that aren't being said.
They didn't buy it.
Dude, you'll never find a better listener than a
sorcery.
police officer ever when they want to listen.
Yeah.
And man, they did some incredible work.
They did some great police work on this one.
Had it been some just guy that was just like, okay, I guess I'm going to listen to the mom.
Yeah, all right,
this could have continued and ended up even worse.
Yeah.
So props to you guys for making sure this woman was locked up and sent into jail. And hopefully those kids can get the help that they need for the rest of their life because they're going to need it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that to have your world broken like that from
Watch
one
the documentary.
person.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah, it's going
to make you mad. It's going to make you mad.
Hopefully give you some
cry.
perspective on these people that you think have life so good. Trust me, my friends, everyone is going through something. Whether it's a lot or a little, we all have our skeletons in the closet.
Some of us have graveyards in the closet.
This dude's got a whole county. What's the one?
What's the review?
Oh yeah, how many YouTube subscribers would you give this one?
Oh wow, I'll give 4 because it was an interesting story and I felt it was compelling the whole way through.
It made it into the national news, but we got the whole picture in this because it wasn't like the Gabby one where it was literally wall to wall for weeks. Right. It was like. Do you remember this chick's YouTube? She's crazy. Look what she did to her kids. And then it was gone.
What about your rating?
I'd give it a 3.5, 4. Okay. I mean, it was good. It was hard, as we always talk about on this. The ones with kids are always the worst ones.
If you think you're a crappy parent, watch this. It'll make you feel a lot better about your parenting.
Or if you're thinking about having kids and you were like, I don't know if I could deal with this, watch this, and hopefully that will dissuade you if you don't think you can take on the challenge.
What we're watching next week is a gem of a documentary that I found, and it's got a lot of my favorite things. Shredding 80s guitar, martial arts, and Elvis impersonators.
I love it.
The Kings of Tupelo.
Oh, yeah.
Netflix, The Kings of Tupelo.
Awesome. Some Oklahoma boys.
Yeah, it's a wild story, man. Wild ride.
Oklahoma doesn't get a lot of credit, but there's a reason someone wrote a song called Tulsa Time.
They wrote a song called Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, too.
You ever partied in Tulsa before? Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Love that place.
No,
I'm not talking about the casinos. I'm talking about you went into the city.
No, I'm talking about... No. Just I hit the top highlights, the bars, casinos,
and the strip clubs.
Yeah.
Either way, watch these as always on YouTube or Facebook. We do it live every Thursday at 9. I do it during my show at that time. Jay does it at 6 p.m. and then as a podcast for free on our 104.7 The Cave app. I'm Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens reminding you.
We watch documentaries,
so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
They could probably also watch it by going over to Tyler's house but he probably would not be there on time to meet them.
If he's
They'd
even
have
there
to wait outside.
to answer
They'd
the
have
door.
to wait outside, and they would call him.
They
Hey, where
have
you
a
at?
sign on the door that says "Be back in 5
be
minutes."
back in 5, which
2
really
hours
means-
later,
yeah.
he's still not there.
Sorry, I had cat issues.
The light wouldn't turn
Yeah,
green.
sorry, the gas. I had to get gas.
I said at the light.